Section 5 of Stanton White, A Romance of the New South, by Asa Zadel Hall. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 5. A Distinguished Visitor. Visitors are many at commencement season. Class reunions, friendship and kinship, fraternity functions, and the general festivities attract many to the halls of their alma mater. Among those who were to visit our college that year was one held in high repute by the faculty and abjectly reverenced by the younger students, while we older students worshipped from afar. A self-made man was he. Never did he enjoy so much as an academic training, but with the advent of wealth had come, happily, a liberal disposition. Various religious bodies and educational institutions had profited by his bounty. Our university was indebted to him for an endowment of 5 millions. His busy life precluded any but hurried and infrequent visits. Our class deemed it a special honor that he had chosen the day of our graduation for his visit. A telegram told the hour of his arrival. We prepared to give him an ovation. A carriage was hired, the finest the city could afford. We decorated it gaily with our class colors. A ribbon-bedecked rope, held by ribbon-bedecked members of the graduating class, served instead of harness and horses. At an early hour, we betook ourselves with our equipage to the station. A brass band preceded us in the march. The whole town was agog. Students, professors, citizens, street Arabs, loafers, thronged the available space around the depot. As the train slowed down at the station, our class president was aboard in a trice, and greeted heartily, though with marked deference, a stout, gray-bearded man who appeared upon the platform of the last Pullman. Instantly the air was rent with cheer upon cheer. Class yells, college yells, the blare of the band playing "Hail to the Chief," shouts, waving of handkerchiefs and hats created a demonstration which seemed at once to surprise and disconcert the great man. With due courtesy, however, he bowed his acknowledgment to the assembled throng, and, not without protest, allowed himself to be drawn in triumph to the president's mansion, where he was to be entertained. The crowds were so dense that the procession could move but slowly, yet this gave us an opportunity to enjoy to the full the hours of our pride. All traffic in the streets was suspended. Even business itself seemed to be at a standstill. Every window, every balcony was full of eager faces. We were at once awed and rejoiced by our new dignity. Space was annihilated. We trod on air. At length, all too soon, our destination was reached. The carriage was brought to a standstill in front of the president's mansion. College and class yells were again given, then a speech was called for. Our benefactor seemed somewhat agitated by this demand, but he rose in the carriage and bowed. I was standing near the carriage, and noticed for the first time that the face was not remarkably intelligent. The white beard gave him a somewhat venerable appearance, but the white beard did not seem to harmonize with the somewhat sandy hair of the now uncovered head. His face bore marks of what in another I would have pronounced dissipation. A heretofore unnoticed scar above the left eye stood out vividly as the excitement of the moment blanched his face, and then drove the blood more freely to it. It seemed to me somehow that I had seen the face before, though I could not tell where. A deep silence, almost oppressive, preceded his words. He spoke. "Friends and fellow citizens," Glances of amazement were exchanged among the listeners. I don't know as I exactly understand what all this here is about, but I'll say that I've been on the road for right at 4 year, and I never was treated in such style before, never. It may be that some mistake has been made." Here he paused and looked about dubiously. "Oh," and here a happy thought seemed to strike him. "It may be that the fame of my goods has arrived before me. Kentuck Red Ribbon Rye makes a famous drink for sure. Step up, boys. The drinks is on me." So speaking, he opened 2 sample cases and began to pour the sparkling liquid with celerity. I looked about me. The crowd was melting away. Considerable laughter was indulged in by those on the outskirts of the crowd, but the most of the students sneaked off in silence. Halfway across the campus I paused and looked back. A little group, composed no doubt of loafers with a sprinkling of students, had surrounded the carriage and were intent upon making the most of the circumstances which placed the fiery beverage within their reach. Our class president was approaching along the campus path. I waited for him. "How did it happen?" said I. "Why, hang it all," said he. I had never seen the man I was to meet. Of course I had seen pictures enough of him, and I thought I'd know him anywhere. "This fellow resembles the pictures I've seen of C. and well, you know the rest. I guess I've made the mistake of my life." My parents spent commencement day with me. Mother had brought a basket of roses from the old farm, and such roses. I knew how painstakingly she and my sister had cared for them. I began to feel that I had never appreciated my mother before. The evening train took father and mother back to the farm again, but not before I had unfolded to them my plans of visiting the South. I met with no opposition. Father seemed gratified that I had saved some of my yearly stipend, while mother smiled patiently and said that she hoped I'd get thoroughly rested before I settled down to practice law. She thought that a complete change, such as I contemplated, might prove beneficial. The only question yet unsettled was whether or not White would accompany me. He had been so very busy of late that I had not urged upon him the desirability of an early decision. I was a little more confident of a favorable decision than I was previously, as I climbed the maple-lined path to the dormitory that evening, after accompanying my parents to the train. Had he not that day received the award of $50 for the Oxford Declamation Prize and $60 for the Reynolds Essay Prize? Surely these funds would assist him in his financial straits. As I approached the dormitory, a feeling of loneliness stole over me. The place wore an air of desertion, many of the students having left on the afternoon and evening trains. I was to tread those familiar halls no more. No more was I to hear the familiar voices, nor see the familiar faces. Gone were my school days. My heart was as lonely as the cheerless old building. Dear old dorm. Tender memories entwine thee as closely as the ivy thy somber gray walls. I knocked loudly at White's door. The sound echoed along the empty halls. No response. All was silent. Emerging from the building, I could just distinguish, through the gathering gloom, White coming up the path. "Well, old man," said I as soon as he was within earshot, "I've been looking for you. I want to congratulate you upon your good work. It's an honor to take one prize, but you seem to have been doubly honored today. 2 prizes and an enviable football record is enough to turn the head of many a man. I really believe it would spoil me, but you seem to be calm enough." He laughed a little and said, "Edson, I've been having so much else to think about this afternoon that my honors have not had time to greatly elate me. I have been out for a little walk along the college hill, while considering some matters that relate to my future. Some of them may interest you. Without doubt, you are anxious to know whether I can accompany you upon your trip southward. It is needless for me to tell how much I'd enjoy doing so. In fact, it would be more than a pleasure. It would furnish me with a long-sought rest. For the past 4 years, I have worked almost incessantly. For 2 years, I attended school in New York, working at odd times as a trained nurse. Previously, I served my apprenticeship as an orderly in a Philadelphia hospital. Of course, a respite would be appreciated, but I am strong, and I believe that I can endure a postponement of my vacation. "But what earthly need is there of your doing so?" said I, quite testily. "Why, if you press me for an answer, I must say that, as an uninvited guest, I feel a trifle delicate about foisting myself upon Mr. Edson. If you had invited me to a camping expedition, in which I could assume half the responsibility and half the expense, I might feel differently. But—" "Why not make it a camping expedition, then?" I interrupted. "Why not?" he repeated. "The very thing. I expected that we'd have to resort to something of the kind before we accomplished our purpose. That's just what we'll do, old chap. When can we start?" "Not so fast, Edson. Why, you'll be hustling me off tonight, won't you?" "We can't start too soon to suit me. I'd get a bad case of the blues if I had to remain long in this deserted old dorm." "Well, I have a few business matters to adjust, and all my packing to do. I cannot possibly start before tomorrow evening." "Tomorrow evening it is," said I, decisively. End of Section 5. Read by James K. White, Chula Vista.